Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic This Week in WordPress and SaaS. It's episode 744. We have already had some slight technical issues, folks, but we have overcome them. We are determined to give you a show, folks. We're going to have an internal discussion, me and my new co-host, Kirk, and we've got a great subject this week. We're going to be talking about how you can use e-learning as a effective marketing tool in 2023. I think it's going to be a really interesting discussion. I'm going to introduce Kirk to you. So, Kirk, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Absolutely, Jonathan. My name is Kurt Von Onen. I have a company called Mañana No Mas. We're known for being under budget and on time. And we do a lot of things in WordPress, a lot of membership and learning websites.
That's great. And it should be a great discussion. It's, I think, a really important subject. And I think in the next couple of years, it'd be one of the most effective ways you can market yourself to a niche audience. And as a small agency, niche provider in WordPress or in web development and design in general, I think it's one of the most effective tools you can utilize to promote yourself. But before we go into the main part of this show, I've got a couple key messages from our major sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back, folks. I also like to point out that if your agency, a WordPress agency, a developer, a designer, or a power implementer, and you're looking for great partnership in WordPress and WordPress hosting and support in general, WP-Tonic is a great partner. We specialize in the e-learning membership and community side of WordPress websites, from LearnDash to Lifter LMS to BuddyBoss. But we also host large e-commerce solutions or any large website, and we are a great partner. We're looking for great partnerships in the WordPress space. So if that is of interest, myself has over 15 years in the WordPress community. If that is of interest to you, go over to WP-Tonic Partners. Go over to WP-Tonic/partners, see the great packages we got to offer and the great partnership options we offer. We'd love you to come on board. So, how would you like to introduce this discussion, Kirk? Because I know recently you've done a online presentation about this subject. What are some of the things that you would like to point out to start off this conversation, Kirk?
I think the biggest thing to remember when we have these conversations, Jonathan, is that we have to remember where the audience is. Like, I think I did this public talk on Tuesday for a marketing group, and it was how to use e-learning as a marketing tool. And this marketing group, they kind of went a little crazy. They were like, how does this work? How do we do this? I thought a learning management system was hundreds of thousands of dollars, because in marketing speak, in speaking to corporate marketing people, they're used to hearing learning management systems being these proprietary, big, bulky SCORM systems that cost, a small fortune in custom development. And you and I have been working with Lifter LMS, LearnDash, Sensi, other branded LMS systems that are much more affordable. And I think it comes down to communication and education from our standpoint, just to make people recognize that this stuff it's readily available. It's not the easiest thing to use. There's a little onboarding, but you can teach yourself how to be efficient and effective with these tools for a very little investment. And it's such a great way to market yourself.
Yeah, well, that's the technology side of it. But what I'm interested in is how you can utilize learning as a effective marketing tool to generate leads and interest in your agency in the WordPress space. So one of the people that I've seen online that I respect and have read a few of his books that has also talked about how this can be used is Seth Gordon. That one of his famous books on marketing is The Purple Cow, which I think, I don't know if you've read it at all. I've read it a couple times, where he talks about, and the way I see e-learning and using learning to is a way of making yourself a purple cow, is being able to stick out from the crowd, because we've got to be frank here, being a WordPress developer or WordPress agency, you've got a lot of competition out there, and you've got to be able to market yourself and be slightly different to the herd, to be that purple cow. And I see e-learning as a method. What's your thoughts about what I've just outlined, Kirk?
I couldn't agree more, to be honest with you, Jonathan. In fact, I go a little bit deeper. I go, like, when I talk to clients or when I talk to other agencies about selling e-learning as part of their package, to increase their revenue, I'm like, anybody that has a consumer product, anyone that sells a product that makes them eligible for the Magnuson-Moss Act. The Magnuson-Moss Act deals with warranties and stuff. But if you have any consumer product with any complication in it whatsoever, you automatically have 3 courses that need to be done for any one of those products. One is features and benefits. So you do a features and benefits course that helps your salespeople and your retailers be able to sell the product. Then you have a course on how to use the product. And then you need a third course that's, what does the consumer do when the product fails to operate correctly or doesn't meet expectations? And so right out of the chute, I look at all these companies that should have e-learning, like they should have public facing e-learning properties that would help them with their brand. And to me, branding is so integral with marketing, and some people like to separate it. But the more information and the more transparency a corporation can offer their forward-facing channels, the better their brand is perceived, and the more value it adds to their messaging. So I'm really big on it.
Yeah, I think over the last few years, a lot of people in, to some degree in the WordPress, but definitely in the startup SaaS world, have utilized paid advertising to attract customers. We pay so much to Facebook and Google, and we get a certain amount of traffic to a landing page, and as long as the offering is being worded and worked on, we will turn so much of that traffic into paying customers. And as long as the economics work out, or they don't, because especially if we're finance, obviously if it's bootstrapped, you've got to get that economics much more dialed in. But if you're taking external investment, you can pay to attract a client and have a longer payback period before you get into profit. But that model, I feel, recently has been breaking down, partially about the woes of Facebook around privacy, and about which really came to a head with the changes that Apple introduced in their OS operating system around privacy, and basically shutting the door on the analytical data that Facebook could obtain from Apple, and then then how much it became around getting paying for Google advertising, and now you've had AI rearing its head, and maybe the dominance of Google was going to be effectively challenged. So I just think in the past year, this whole model of utilizing paid traffic to generate new clientele and customers is breaking down. So people are having to re-look at blogging, at about email marketing, about offering value and these forms of marketing, which, for a time, a lot of people said that email newsletters and emailing was finished. It was either, and also what's happened on Twitter and social media in general, people are realizing that relying on organic social media to generate traffic to their websites or leads can't be relied on as much as possible. I've gone through quite a few things there as quickly as possible. What's your general response to some of the things I've outlined?
When I focus on it from an e-learning perspective, I look at it like, what's my depth of content? Is my content going to help my SEO? What's going to help drive my visibility? How can I give people the perception of added value? And I think to a certain extent, I think you're correct in that you still have to have a real viable business. You're still going to have to pay for some eyes to get to see that content. But I think if you display the quality content and a depth of content, I think you do a better job of reducing that user churn, so you're not constantly looking for new eyes if you are hedging your bets and adding value to the existing eyes that are there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think the other factor is what I call the buyer's journey. That's how I explain it into my own mind, is that the buyer journey is much more consumer to business or business to business has changed over the last few years. And what I mean by that is that people are doing a lot more research in general before they purchase, that they are to some extent trying to find out, or they have found out, what are the key features or things that they need to know to make a more informed decision about a product, a plugin, a agency, or a product that they are thinking of purchasing. So they really self-select, and then they approach the agency, and then it's up to the product, the service provider, the digital agency, the WordPress agency to fail at the discovery or the initial sales discussion. What's your reaction to what I've just outlined?
I actually kind of got a little bit lost on you, Jonathan.
That's not surprising. A lot of people have said that, Kirk.
You caught me here live going, I'm not sure where Jonathan's going with this one. We're talking about using the learning management material, right? And then you were talking about the agency having something.
Well, the buyer's journey, they are looking for you, the vendor, either the WordPress agency or the SaaS company. They are searching online. They are looking at YouTube. They are listening to podcasts. They are out there doing at different stages, provisionally looking at maybe a product or service that can help them either as a consumer to business or business to business, that can help them in some way or help their business in some way. They're on that kind of provisional, and then as they get they can get more and more serious about a purchase and do more research, but they are generally doing more searches in YouTube, online through Google, listening to podcasts, just basically getting educated about what they might be looking to purchase than ever before.
Gotcha. I'm full circle. I'm caught up now. I remember back, believe it or not, I used to sell cars when I was a young man. And they used to tell us it would take, on average, 5 touch points with a customer along their buyer journey to get them to make a buying decision. And as the internet has evolved and as businesses continue to change the way that it communicates, now they're saying it takes 12, 13, 15 touches with a customer before they're in a buying position. To your point, podcasts and different commercial points, phone calls, surveys, all kinds of things. But I think it's important when we consider the e-learning as part of the tool, we have to understand, again, considering the buyer's journey and what the customer using the learning management system wants. Like, is the course their end goal? Is the course what they're trying to sell? Or is the course a tool that leads the customer in the buyer's journey to a different product, to something that's different? And that's the fun part about working with agencies and different web customers, is figuring out what's your use case and how are you trying to employ this course? Is it a lead magnet? Is it a free course? It's a lead magnet that leads to some high-priced widget you want to sell for their house? Or is the course the product you're selling to hopefully upsell in a good, better, best model for consulting and training and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I think that course, people got the feeling that it's going to be like a 16 lesson. What I'm talking about is having structure to the information that you could offer for free to a consumer through podcasting, but then offer more detailed training, which can be utilized as an effective lead magnet to get those people's contact information. And then through a e-learning platform, you can see if they're progressing through that course. And if they're progressing through those lessons, you can then, through automation or the signs, because the platform will tell you if they're finishing lessons. That will give you an indication that they are ready for you to be more proactive about contacting that potential individual and getting them on board for Zoom, depending on the price point of your product or service. But that's why I think people are not understanding how valuable this methodology is as a lead generation, sales generation, because traditionally there's been a big gap between the marketing and the sales department. But utilizing e-learning, I think you get much more synergy between a marketing and a sales department to some extent. That was another big statement. We're gonna go for our break, and then I'm gonna see Kirk's response to what I've just said. See if I made myself understandable, or was I going off on a biggie again?
The leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
We're coming back, folks. I just want to point out we've got a great new sponsor on the show, a major sponsor, and that is Zolo, Zolo.com. Zolo offers almost 50 plus different online services and apps, from bookkeeping to a competitor to Google Analytics, to email marketing, to Zolo CRM. and they're looking for WordPress partners to work with them. They're interested in being an active supporter of open source and the WordPress community, and they're actively looking for partners in the WordPress community, agency partners, and they have become a major sponsor of this show. So if that's of interest, WP-Tonic is a partner of Zolo. It's been great to work with them, and I suggest that you should become a partner with Zoho. To find out more, go over to zolo.com, look at their section partners, and sign up, and there are great benefits at different levels for our agency to actively work with Zolo, which I like to point out has over 5,000 employees and last year done $1 billion in turnover. So it's a major company to be a partner with. So what that last bit in before the break, was it ringing any bells with you? What do you think? I was on the right track?
You're absolutely on the right track. That particular statement and trail that you went down was ding, ding, ding in my brain the whole way. When I speak to people in their marketing companies and stuff, and they're talking about like their lead scoring or their pipeline, whether they're using Active Campaign or Groundhog or some kind of other CRM tool, maybe something through Zoho, they've got a way that they have their salespeople track their lead. Like what's the score of the lead? Is the lead like if it's 1 through 100, is it a 50% lead, an 80% lead, 90% lead? And what you just described is a perfect way to put that to make sense. So if I have a user that enrolls in a course, their lead score might be a 25. But if I have a user that enrolls in a course that finishes 5 lessons, their lead score might go up to 62 or 65. And then if I have one that finishes the whole course and earns the certification, they might be a 75 or 80. And then if they partake in another course, or if they get involved in some other kind of social interaction within my, web infrastructure, whatever I've got set up for my site, I can increase the value of that lead score. And then I can look at those leads and I can assign my salespeople or assign my sales energy and budget to the highest scores for the highest closing ratios. So it's a really, really smart way to go.
Yeah. And I think it's relevant if you're a WordPress agency or a freelancer developer and you're listening, or you're running a bootstrap SaaS company, business, startup, is that if you're looking, you can do this yourself for your own agency, providing a course aimed at a particular niche vertical, or if you've got medium clients that are looking, that got some kind of budget and they're looking, they've become a bit cynical about paid advertisement and they're coming for you for ideas, is to put this to them about developing e-learning education as a lead magnet, and then by utilizing a learning management system to organize that course and utilizing something like WP Fusion with Active Campaign, or utilizing Fluent CRM with WP Fusion, you can trigger automatic marketing, but also the learning management system. And one of our great partners is Lifter LMS, is that provides a great platform that can show the progress. And if somebody is consuming all the lessons and coming back multiple times to view the lessons, which Lifter LMS can monitor, that is a great trigger that shows that the client is the possible prospect is really interested in consuming the content you're providing, and gives you, because it's all about contacting and doing that outreach at the right time with the right message. marketing can seem a bit mystical, but really the fundamentals of successful marketing, even though it's very difficult, is putting the right message at the right time. What do you reckon about that, Kirk?
It's correct. Absolutely correct. And then the other segment that I wanted to kind of touch on, Jonathan, with LMS work and using it for branding, is when I think about the Great Resignation and these companies losing employees and having to go to a remote workforce and things like that. One of the areas that I've been able to make a lot of great strides in for developing my products for companies is, if you think about it, they advertise they have a remote position, but then the first thing that new employee has to do is fly to the office to onboard with HR, right? And so if we could take our e-learning tools and make a virtual onboarding platform that they can then promote and say, a remote position with us is remote, we onboard remote, you work remote, blah, blah, blah. It lends them more credibility from an employer standpoint. And so these larger companies that are still trying to do in-person onboarding are having a lot of hiccups in trying to hire folks. And so it's another layer of branding and marketing that goes with the company, but from the internal perspective, not a customer-facing element.
That is the more traditional model. Traditional probably is not the right word, but what learning management systems, internal HR training, where I think where a lot of companies, and when it comes to the bootstrap SaaS, is that this new kind of lead magnet utilizing training courses inside a learning management system that can show you if a prospect is really a strong candidate for outreach. It can be also utilized for reducing churn of new customers, because one of the biggest problems any bootstrap SaaS has is not only getting new possible clients, but keeping the existing clientele. And one of the biggest problems is getting people to not bail out on your service because they're not utilizing it enough, and they haven't invested, and so they don't see the value of the product. And you're getting new clients into on the platform, but it's a bucket with a load of holes in it, and you're losing as many client customers as you're getting new customers. And investing in a learning management system is you're killing two birds with one stone, is that you can utilize it as a way of attracting new clients, and also use at the same time it's utilized so it reduces the amount of churn you're getting. What do you think of what I've just outlined there?
No, I agree that the reducing the churn to me is huge, because again, I do a lot of work with companies that have a high cost of customer acquisition. And so, a lot of times you'll hear, well, each customer costs, $1,200 to get each customer, and I'm like, well, it'd be easier to keep them if you gave them some information. People just want to be acknowledged and recognized, and having an e-learning system with the automations you spoke of earlier is a great way to give them that recognition and that engagement that makes them feel like they're part of the family when they sign up with you.
Yeah. So I think what we've outlined here is why you should be looking at utilizing a WordPress learning management system, and also trying to market it to your customer base with a new way of looking at how a learning management system can be utilized, not just for a platform for internal training, but you as a lead generating tool and a churn reduction tool that can be utilized by a number of companies. And the reality of what we're entering in 2023, people will be looking at new methodologies, new affordable methodologies to attract new clients and to keep those clients, because what I stated, and I think Kirk agreed, is the cost and also the effectiveness of utilizing just paid traffic and then trying to convert them. But even with the paid thing, utilizing either Facebook or Google paid adverts, and then offering a course, a micro course, as I call it, as your lead magnet, and then observing if they've finished that, and then doing one-to-one, or if it's at a certain price point, triggering marketing automation is a great way of increasing the amount, increasing leads that come to your website and actually turning them into clientele, either for your own agency or probably more for your medium to larger clients, where you're offering more value, more possible solutions. What do you reckon about that, Kirk?
Yeah, no, it's all that together. And on top of, you're talking about reducing churn and nurturing clients and customers and users, and it lends itself towards revenue expansion as well. If you have a company and you're introducing new markets or new services or new skills, you add that to your e-learning, and then people see that you have expertise that's beyond what they originally sourced you for. And so it's just a great way to expand and grow and communicate with people.
That's great. So I think
I was going to say, I'm sorry, but it's an evergreen type of product, right? You're not picking up the phone and burning man hours just calling people, dialing for dollars. You make the product, you expose people to the product, and the product keeps going. So you make that investment up front, and it does the work for you as long as you have those automation triggers, and you're able to follow up on the data.
And I think if you're interested in this, you can approach me at WP-Tonic, or you can approach Kirk. We've got extensive knowledge in learning management systems, but we're more than happy to give you advice if you think you've got clientele in your agency. It's just a new service, a new way of looking at something, and I think a lot of people haven't really worked out that this is a new territory and a new effective way of utilizing courses and learning management systems to really be effectively market in the next couple of years or more. So, Kirk, what's the best way for people to find out more about you, and if people want to contact you and get some great advice from you, what's the best way, Kirk?
Oh, thanks, Jonathan. Mañana No Mas is my company name, and everything Mañana No Mas online pretty much leads to me. I've been working with that name for a long time. The other thing is LinkedIn. If you're watching this on one of our stream channels, you'll see my name written out, Kurt Von Onen, and I'm the only Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn, and I'm on there for a couple hours every day. So if you look me up on LinkedIn, hit connection, send me a message, and we'll connect.
Yep. And if you're interested to talk to me, you can always book straight by going to the WP-Tonic website. There's a button right in the main navigation that says book a chat, and that's with me. So if you're listening to this podcast and there's any additional questions, or you're interested in becoming a partner with WP-Tonic, just book a session with me and I'll be more than happy to give you any advice. We've got some great guests coming up in the rest of January and in March. We've got some great discussions. I'm really looking forward, as Kirk being my co-host, and we'll be back next week, folks. We'll see you soon. Bye.